Welcome, everybody, back to Friar Talk. Today, we are going to be talking about the MLB, and we're going to be giving our playoff predictions for who's going to make it in, what the seeding is going to look like, kind of go over the next few weeks of baseball league-wide. Let's get it started right away with the American League. So you look at the American League, and just looking at a couple divisions first, the Orioles are going to win the East. The Twins, they're going to win the Central. They just absolutely took care of business against the Guardians the other day. They demolished them in a couple games there. The Orioles, going back to them real quick, very exciting team. They've been amazing to watch. I'm going to be rooting for the Orioles from here on out. As we all know, the Padres are not really in the mix anymore. And then in the AL West, it's a three-team race right now. It's the Astros, the Mariners, and the Rangers. As we know, the Rangers just kind of got demolished by the Astros. The Astros swept them, took care of business, looked really, really good. And the Rangers have been struggling. They've been kind of falling out. So you look at the division winners. The only real race is in the West. And then from a wild card perspective, the Rays are pretty much locked in. They're 8 games above the wild card. And then there's basically a 3-team battle. So there's 2 races in the AL to kind of look at it. One, who's going to win the West? The Astros, the Rangers, or the Mariners? And then who's going to get the final 2 wild card spots? You got the Mariners, you got the Blue Jays, and you got the Rangers, and potentially not the Astros if they don't win the division. Now, my thought on this race right now, the Astros are the hottest team in the league. Altuve's been balling. They just took care of business against the Rangers. I think they're taking home the West again. The Mariners are hot too. But I just think that the Astros are probably going to take care of business for the rest of the season. So I am rocking with the Astros to win the AL West. And then we look at those final 2 wildcard spots. And I think this is really interesting, really exciting. All 3 of these teams play each other. Toronto's kind of just been around all season, just floating around in the wild card, out of the wild card. And right now they have a half game on the Rangers. And then Seattle's in that second spot, 1.5 ahead of Toronto. So I think Seattle's going to stay in the same spot. They could win the AL West. I think they're going to get that second wildcard spot. So then it comes down to the final wildcard spot in the AL. And I think I got to go with the Blue Jays. I just think that the Rangers have not been that great lately. I don't think their pitching is good enough. And they've just kind of fallen apart, unfortunately, even though they were the best team in baseball for a couple months. So kind of did it rapid fire right there, Isaac. But you're looking at the AL. What are you thinking for those couple kind of battles to see who's gonna win here?
Orioles, obviously, they're going to stay on top. They're 8 games up on the next seed. Orioles at 88 wins, Astros at 80. I definitely think the Astros are going to take it. Like you said, they've been one of the hotter teams in baseball. Altuve's going crazy. They just took care of business against the Rangers, swept them, actually. Twins, obviously, they're 5-6 games up on the Guardians. I think that's kind of gotten out of hand at this point, even though the Twins aren't really playing very good baseball. They're only 6 games above 500. We knew throughout the season it wasn't going to be a good division. We knew that. We knew that from the start. And the Guardians tried making some moves to try and salvage their season. They've done it via waivers. They made some trades, traded some guys away. But end of the day, it didn't work. It didn't cost them much. I don't think the Guardians will obviously, I definitely don't think they're going to get above the Twins. Twins got that one locked. Tampa Bay, I think they're set in there. Now comes down to, I really think it's only between 3 teams, right? I think it's Seattle, Toronto, Texas. I think the rest of them, Boston, Yankees, Cleveland, I think they're done for. Seattle, Toronto, and Texas. I'm going to take Seattle and Texas. I know Texas recently lost. They lost 8 in a row. They've lost multiple series. They got swept by the Astros. They just haven't been playing good baseball. But I feel like this is their lowest of lows, and I feel like they're gonna come back. They're gonna bounce back, and they're gonna at least play some average baseball from here on out. I want to take Toronto just because I really do like Toronto, but we've already seen glimpses of what Texas can do throughout the season. At one point, leading their division, being one of the best teams in all of baseball. Corey Seager going crazy, Simeon going crazy. Just a team. The lineup is solid. I think the lineup is solid, but it's the pitching that's been killing them, and that's been the case throughout the season. With even trading for Scherzer, it just hasn't worked out in their favor. But I do think Texas will secure that last wild card spot, and I think it's going to come down to one of the final days that they do it. Texas plays Seattle 7 times in their last 10 games. The last 4 being in Seattle. So yeah, I'm gonna give Seattle that 5th spot. However, I do think it would be a lot of fun if Seattle got the 6th spot, won their won their wild card round, and then played the Astros again. I think that would be super fun. But realistically, I do think Seattle's going to secure that 5th spot. They were one of the hot. They've been one of the hottest teams in baseball. Sure, they might have cooled off a little bit, but I mean, we as Padre fans, we would have loved to have one of those runs where they win 8+ games in a row. Sorry, I got a sneeze. Never mind. They won 8+ games in a row, lost one, and then did it again. So we would have loved to have one of those, but didn't come our way this year. It came the Mariners' way. And for me, I had wanted a Padres Mariners World Series this year, so I'm going to be rooting for the Mariners since the Padres aren't going to be in the playoffs. But I just think they're such a fun team. They always find a way to get hot at some point in the season. They did it. I think it was last year. They went 21-4 in a 25-game span. Again this year, they turned into one of the hottest teams in baseball and were able to get to the at least the ALDS. So definitely rooting for them, and I think they'll be in it as well as the Rangers.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool to see because I mean, and also you brought up Scherzer, kind of like that trade. I think that's gonna kind of play out who takes this final spot home because that's what I think it really is. Like, at least from our discussion point, we think the Astros are gonna win that division. We think the Mariners kind of locked into that second wild card spot. The third one is really where it comes out, and it's interesting. Like, I feel like the Blue Jays, like their rotation, their overall team just seems a little bit more well rounded. Where the Rangers, like, it's going to depend on like how their pitching does because that's where it struggled. And something that's interesting is Scherzer doesn't have like crazy numbers, but I do think he's due for some positive regression. I mean, opponent batting average in Texas so far is under 200, and he has a sub-1 WHIP. I mean, he got rocked the other day, but like you got to think that he can bounce back a little bit. As we know, he's kind of dealt with like dead arm and stuff late in seasons in the past, but it's going to really come down to him as an acquisition, which it depends how you are. I don't know how Ranger fans feel about him, just kind of like how much confidence they have in him, but that's a kind of a cool guy to have like your season right on. I mean, he's been around the league. He's been great for so long. So I think it's going to come down to a couple of those matchups that they end up having. And really like that Mariners Rangers matchup, even though the Mariners should, in my opinion, be kind of locked into that second wild card spot, those are probably even more important for the Rangers because of that race with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are probably going to kind of coast along and be all right. So I think that's our overall thoughts right there in the AL. We each have a different. You have the Rangers taking that last wild card spot. I have the Mariners, and then we just have all the standings staying the same. So that's our only prediction on that side. Now, if we flip over into the NL, NL is looking a little bit different. So Atlanta, they're the best team in baseball. They're ridiculous. They have been struggling a little bit lately. Dodgers, this is supposed to be a Dodgers off here. Yep, that worked out really good for us Padre fans. Absolutely cooking and potentially going to get Ohtani next year. So not going to talk about those two teams at all. The Phillies, look, they're a wild card team. They're one of the most dangerous teams in the NL. You could even say that they're more dangerous than the Dodgers because the Dodgers just lost Urias. Dodgers have some question marks. I mean, like, I think the Phillies, and we saw that last year, like the Phillies were really good. So I think I'd probably say that the Phillies are the second most dangerous team when it comes to playoff time in the NL. Now we look a little bit different. So don't have it pulled up division-wise, but the Cubs are a game and a half back of the Brewers right now. And the Cubs are playing much better baseball, in my opinion. So they're competing for that division spot. The Marlins are a few games back here. They're playing good baseball too. They're winning a bunch. They're playing the Dodgers as we actually speak, but they just won the last two matchups against LA. They've been playing really good. They've snuck into this final wild card spot. So the battles here, kind of similar. You got the Central here. You got the Brewers against the Cubs to see who's going to win that one. And then it's almost the exact same thing. It's kind of funny in both these conferences. The Cubs are kind of locked into the 2 spot, or they can win the division. And then we look at it and we go, final wild card spot. And this is where it's a little bit different. There are a lot of teams in the race here. You got the Marlins, you got the Diamondbacks, you got the Reds, and you got the Giants. Now, I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to talk about the Giants. The Giants had a really hard schedule. They've had a hard, It's like the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, it's like the most difficult schedule. They play the Dodgers a bunch. They just lost 3 or 4 against the Padres. It has been rough for them. I think they're going to continue to fall apart. I don't think they're that great of a team. I thought that like 2 months ago, and that's what's happened. And it's happened exactly when I thought it was going to go down. The Reds have a very easy schedule. The Diamondbacks, the Marlins, they have kind of like moderate schedules. So I'm looking at it, and because of how easy their schedule is, I think the Reds are going to come up and swoop in on this third wild card spot, which I think would be very fun to watch. Younger team there. And then I think that the Cubs are going to jump the Brewers, and I think the Brewers are going to end up being the wild card team, and the Cubs are going to take that division. So those are my overall first kind of thoughts on the NL. Isaac, how are you feeling?
My first overall thought is the Padres, from Miami to San Diego. If we're looking at that part of the standings, they're the only team with a positive run differential by quite a large margin. And their expected win-loss is 77-64. They're supposed to be cruising to a wild card spot. That's disappointing. It's heartbreaking, but on to next year, which is what we've been saying for a long time other than last year. But yeah, I mean, you already went through the NL. Atlanta's running through it right now. I actually think them and Philly are the most dangerous teams in the NL, and it's not biased against the Dodgers, but I'm sorry, I legit don't know who the hell they're going to pitch. I don't know who the Dodgers are going to pitch, and you could say Kershaw, but maybe it's a little unfair to judge based off past history in the playoffs. But I mean, if there's a guy to judge based off their playoff history, it's Clayton Kershaw. So like I said, I don't know who's going to pitch for them. So I don't really see them as much of a danger past the NLDS. But yeah, man, Philadelphia's handling business. As far as Milwaukee and Chicago go, I think Chicago's going to take that division. They've been one of the hotter teams in baseball, and Justin Steele's having a Cy Young candidate type year. We just put out a video on Snell and Steele, so go watch that if you haven't. But basically, even though Steele isn't putting up the numbers that Snell is, if you go based off advanced statistics, he's still having the second best season in the NL. That guy definitely, if he wins it, I want to be mad, but I'll also understand. So with the Cubs, like I said, one of the hottest teams in baseball, 7-3 in their last 10, win streak of 4, expected win-loss 80-60, 20 games above 500, run differential plus 101. They've been doing this all in the past 2 or 3 months. Like, that's when they got hot. They didn't start the season like crazy, and I didn't really expect the Cubs to be like this. I didn't expect them to be this type of contender, but they've gotten really hot, and they've become the type of contender that we thought the Padres were going to be. So, yeah, I'm expecting them to take the division. The really cool thing about the end of the year is that the Cubs and the Brewers play each other in the last 3 games. So, I mean, if they're within a game of each other, the winner of that series is going to take the division. That's going to be super fun to watch. As far as the last wild card spot goes, I'm going to give it to Cincinnati. You look at Cincinnati, they have, I think it's the 6th easiest schedule from here on out. Obviously not the craziest team in terms of how hot they've been. They're definitely cooled off from when Ellie De La Cruz first made his debut, but 5-5 in their last 10, lost their last game, negative run differential. Yeah, not the hottest team, but you're going to tell me that the Diamondbacks have been hot. They've been probably one of the worst teams in baseball since the All-Star break, I would say. They haven't been good whatsoever. So I'm not going to say that the Diamondbacks are suddenly going to get hot and turn it around. I think Cincinnati's definitely got more of an opportunity to do that because of their schedule, whereas Arizona's middle of the pack. They have, I believe, they're right in the middle, maybe like 16th in terms of strength of schedule. So not the worst, but definitely not easier than the Reds. Miami, I can't give it to Miami. They have the 5th hardest strength of schedule from here on out. I just don't see how they can overcome that. I don't think they have the team to overcome that. Did they whoop our ass? Yes, but I don't see them being able to beat the teams that they have ahead of them. So, if I'm going overall standings by the end of the year, Atlanta, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Cincinnati. And yeah, that leaves Arizona, Miami, and San Fran on the outside looking in. And San Francisco, I mean, I just don't think they have the pitching staff to do it. I don't think they got the names in the lineup to do it. They haven't put up a lot of production, especially lately. 3-7 in their last 10, lost a lot of ground, lost 6 in a row. Even going back to the Padres series, they didn't look like a team that I thought was going to contend for that last wild card spot. I think they're a star away. I think they're that team that they've been trying to sign a star, going back to Aaron Judge, going back to Carlos Correa. I forgot who they were trying to get the year before, but they've been trying to sign a star. It hasn't worked. So up to this point, I think they're a star away from being able to compete for that last wild card spot. But right now, the last 10 games of the season, yes, the Padres have not been good, but they play the Padres 7 times and they play the Dodgers right in between, or maybe it's vice versa. I think they play the Dodgers 7 times and the Padres 3 times. So it's a tough way to end your year. So that's why I'm not going to give it to the Giants. But as far as the other teams go, man, I definitely think Cincinnati. I don't think they will do damage in the playoffs. I don't think they will, but I think they're going to secure that last spot.
Yeah, so we're feeling the same way there, and I think something that's interesting too is like you brought up the Cubs and stuff. Cubs are a team that neither of us really believe in too much. I mean, Cody Bellinger's been a beast. Our channel's big fans of Cody Bellinger. That's kind of how we've been for the whole time. We wanted him as a potential guy for the Padres. Looking back on it, it would have. I don't know, Isaac. What do you think about the idea of what we said to get Cody Bellinger and keep Josh Bell or Brandon Drury? Seems like it would have went a lot better than signing Xander Bogaerts, but that's for another time. But yeah, you look at the Cubs and something that's interesting too is like they haven't had Stroman lately. They have not had Stroman, so they're going to get him back. Belly's been amazing. A lot of their guys, they have a decent young core in terms of like the ages. A lot of these guys. You brought up Justin Steele. We talked about him yesterday. We think he's going to be a runner-up for the Cy Young. They are looking really good, and they're potentially kind of a dangerous team in the NL. I don't know if they're going to be able to hang with the heavyweights, but either way, fantastic season from the Cubs. We brought up the Giants falling off. What about the Diamondbacks falling off? I mean, they were leading the NL West for quite some time, first 2-3 months, and they've just kind of fallen apart. They did kind of get it back going a little bit earlier, and they've kind of flared out a little bit. So Corbin Carroll, as exciting as he is, the deadline additions weren't that great. We know a thing or two about Tommy Pham, and he was actually good for them, but I don't know, man. Like it just hasn't worked out for them. It's kind of disappointing that they're not going to make it. So I think that's in terms of the NL. I mean, it's really been, hey, the Cubs have been the most surprising team here. The Brewers are always hanging around. I don't really think the Brewers are going to make any noise in the playoffs. I don't know. They never do. Like, do you feel any different, dude? Or like they never really do anything. It's just like you make the playoffs, but it's almost like perpetual mediocrity. It's just like being above average. That's how I kind of look at it with them. Which they're still making the playoffs, but
they're just happy to be there.
That's what it seems like. And that's like the organization is very big on just like, we're just going to consistently keep doing that. So, I mean, if you're looking at the playoffs, so I think that's what we're thinking. I think the Reds is probably the biggest like hot take for these predictions, I guess. But I think there's reason to believe that they will. And that's because of the strength of schedule. It's just vastly different than those other teams. So I think in terms of the playoff prediction, that's probably going to do it. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know if there's any other videos, MLB or Padres related, that you would like us to do in the comments. And have a fantastic night. We'll talk to y'all soon.